Hi again guys, back for another one. This one today I thought we're just going to have a bit of a chat. A gentleman asked me a little while ago to do a video on what you catch here over summer. What's the best time of year to go catch a few pelagics and mackerel and bits and pieces. So that one today that's what this one's going to be about. I'm just going to give you a rundown on basically the time of year I go chase certain species, how I chase a certain species. It's not going to be how you should or whatever, it's just going to be how I do it, and the time of years I usually look for them. And yeah, this is just going to be a bit of a chat on basically pelagics. So we're going to be talking about some mackerel, dolphin fish, marlin, and wahoo and a tuna. Okay, so this one might go for a little while. I just yak on about all sorts. And as you can see here in front of me, there's bits and pieces from whiteheads to skirted lures. There's all sorts of stuff here you can use. Okay, so to start off with, we'll start off with mackerel. Since we're only a month or so, or 6 weeks away from November, it's still early days for the mackerel, but a few people do start looking for them. Me personally, I don't usually start worrying about mackerel until around mid-December, and that's usually only spotties. Around early to mid-December, you'll start hearing of quite a few spotties starting to be caught on Mermaid Reef and Palm Beach Reef. And every man and his dog will be out there chasing them, like by mid-December to around Christmas time, end of December. Every man and his dog will be out there chasing them, but they should be in full force, as long as we don't get a lot of rain or really shitty weather like we have for the last couple of years. And the best way to go chase spotties, most people will just anchor the go to the reefs, anchor the boat, send it a belly trail, and then float down like half a pilchard on just like little wire traces like this little swivel. So I think it's only about 27-pound wire and like a 4/0. Just put half a pilchard on that, drop it over the back of the boat, and just float it down in amongst your belly trail. That's a good way to find spotties as they're doing laps around the reef, cruising around the reef. And if the spotties are there, you will be able to tell, because you just look at all the boats around you, and you'll just see like this boat hooking up, and then that boat hooking up, and that one hooking up, that one hooking up, as the spotties are going around. It can be quite entertaining at times. The other way to find them down there is just to cast a few slugs. So you've got the old resin ones. Oh, these are fairly new over the last couple of years, but they work an absolute treat. Just an old basic metal slug and your little gillies and your whitebaits. These type of things. Even while you're sitting down there, you're burling up, you've got a couple of baits out, you're floating out the back. Put your baits in the rod holder, bail them open, let some line feed off them. Get a little spin stick, start casting some slugs around. But when you're casting the slugs, let them sink right down. Just let them sink down through a water column one and back up through the water column and through your belly trail. It's sometimes a good way to entice a bite. You'll see other guys doing it too. And also while you're down there, it's early in December, and even like just after the new year. It's still only early, but you do hear and see the odd Spanish mackerel being caught around the reefs. And most of the guys, when they're getting the Spaniards, they're either using live baits under a balloon. You'll see lots of balloons out. That's usually live baits. And guys looking for a Spanish while they're chasing spotties. Or you'll see the guys going around the outside edge trolling. And they could be trolling like just some hard bodies. Some of my favourite ones are just your Opala. See these? These are all crackers. That's a small one. There's one of my favourites and the bigger boy. It's caught a lot of fish, I think. Halcos, just trolling divers at around 6 knots. If they're not trolling divers, they're probably going really slow, and they got like these type of rigs out, and they got bait on them. Like this one here is only a small one, so you'd rig that up with a pilchard or a small garfish or something. And this is also a good way to find spotties. So if you troll small baits, good way to find spotties and Spaniards. If you just want to chase Spaniards, put some big boys and big baits on something like that. That's a woghead and some pretty hefty hooks. Okay. And you could use that for big tailor, small bonito and stuff, and just chase big Spaniards. But that type of thing I wouldn't use too early in the season. I'd look at using something like this when we're heading more towards March. The mackerel start thinning out, but the ones that are here are a lot bigger fish, and that's where that comes into play. Okay, and if you're down like chasing a few, looking for a Spanish or something early in the season of mermaid and palmy and wherever else you're fishing in close, the gear of choice, most people run about 15 kilo. I usually run 10. So I'll be just running something like this. If I could trawl with this or live bait, it won't matter. This is just a TLD 15 stuck with 10 kilo, and it's on a little 10 kilo short stroker. So it's a powerful little outfit. It knocks over Spanish of all sizes very, very quickly, very, very easily. And like I said, you can trawl with this, you can live bait with it, which is good. But being a short stroker and a fairly stiff rod, it's no good if you want to trawl baits like live baits. Whoops, live baits on a downrigger. So if you're slow trawling live baits around on the downrigger, you need a whippy sort of a rod. And this is my slow pitch outfit. But I've also discovered this thing works really well for downriggers. Just look at the tip on this thing. When it's in the rod holder, you can load it up. Look at that. It works perfectly on downriggers. You can load them right up, and it whips that loose line out of your I can't even think what I'm saying. Anyway, I can't even think what I'm going to say with that one. Anyway, micro jig rods, good for downriggers. Just the way they load up, they work well. And the other thing about them too is if you do hook a big Spanish on like a little micro jig outfit, not a little rod like that, hold on, it's bloody good fun. They go hard on those things. Okay, so it's mackerel starting around December, and it's basically December and early into the new year for the spotties, and then early in the new year to about March, and when we start chasing the Spanish. And when we're chasing the Spanish, we do fish from one mermaid and palmy. It's too much to remember. Mermaid and palmy. But as the season gets on, we more head out the 24s, like off the seaway, 18s and 24s, and then we start trawling downriggers with live baits, dead baits. And as we get closer to March and the bigger boys are showing up, we start running like wogheads with big baits. Okay, and once again, you can do it on that sort of outfit, or you can step up like some guys do and put them on like a 30 pound outfit. Oh, that's a TLD 30, 15 kilo, you can run that, but that's an overkill for poor old Spaniards. 10 kilos usually enough, but if you're running something like this, make sure the hooks are really, really sharp, otherwise you won't set them on like a 10 kilo outfit. This is designed to run on big gear. This is a big heavy one. I don't generally run this type of thing here off the Gold Coast. This is more for up north and heavier gear, chasing really big Spaniards. I just thought I'd make it up quickly just to show you. Okay. Downriggers, yeah. Even anchoring and just floating out live baits is a good way to fish Spanish later in the season. Okay, next thing. What are we going to talk about next? Say what everyone else is after. We'll go little blacks. Okay, I'll start trawling for little blacks. Like really start looking for them out in the 36s around December as well. Generally around December we get a lot of dolphin fish coming through, so we'll talk about dolphin fish as well. We start getting a lot of dolphin fish, and they're usually on the 36s and 50s depending on how clean the water is. If you haven't had a lot of rain or a heap of northerly wind, the water's usually pretty good, nice and blue on the 36s and definitely on the 50s, and that's where you want to go trawling. And I'll be honest guys, I don't fish fads. I don't like fishing fads because they're always being bombarded. Most of the fish are small and I just really couldn't be bothered. I'm just not interested in catching small fish. So when I'm chasing dolphin fish, I don't get a lot of numbers over the years or over a season, but the fish I get are generally good ones. A small one for me is like 8, 9 kilo. Good ones are 15 to 20, and I do get a few. And when I do catch dolphin fish, we'll swap from little blacks to dolphin fish because usually I start chasing them in December as well. I'll head out to the 36s, I'll put out a pattern, and I'll be just running skirts. Okay? I'll be just running skirts, full pattern. So when I'm trawling on my boat or my old boat or friends' boats, I've always got 5 lures out. I run a pattern of 5. Mixed colours, different sort of heads in different spots, and just put a pattern of skirts out. I do put a teaser out as well, just in case there are marlin in the area. If you're after good teaser, guys, these are a Squid Nation. They call them a flip floppy. These things are awesome teasers. They really are. They're expensive little buggers. They're around 200 bucks, but you shouldn't lose them, just as long as you don't reverse over them. And they're just a really good little teaser. Blacks and stuff love them. They're a great teaser. So if you're after a good teaser, look at the Squid Nations. Anyway, put the teaser out. You want a pattern of 5 skirted lures and troll around the 36s and the 50s. My pattern is generally I'll leave the seaway head to the northeast 36s. When I find blue water, I'll put my skirts in. I troll from there to the northeast 50s, and then I'll just keep heading north for another 5Ks. Then I'll turn around and come down the outside of the 50s all the way down to when you're just outside of spot X. I'll come into spot X, I'll do a few laps around there, and then from spot X I'll start heading in until I hit dirty water or get near the end of the day. And that's my pattern. I do that every year, and every year it works for dolphin fish and little blacks. And occasionally I snag a blue, and I've got a few striped marlin doing it as well. And that's all on skirts, okay, starting December, running skirts, looking for dolphin fish and the little blacks and stripies, and like I said, occasional blue. You snag occasional blue doing it too. When I'm trolling skirts, generally I like running 8 kilo, especially if I'm in close chasing little blacks. I'll run 8 kilo. I like my 8 kilo outfits, good fun on like small fish. Yeah, 60 kilo, 40 kilo, 30 kilo, 20 kilo, just good fun on 8 kilo. Dolphin fish, all sizes, big boys, big dolphin fish on 8, a handful, a real handful. But generally when I'm heading to 36s and 50s, I'll run a full set of 15 kilos. Okay, and that's only the reason I'm running 15 is because, once again, you hook striped marlin, you occasionally hook a blue marlin, some of the blacks are a bit bigger, dolphin fish, and you get some cracking wahoo at times too, and yellowfin. And all those fish on 8 kilo, you can get them, but they take time. And it's a lot easier on 15, trust me. So around December and early into the new year, go trolling with skirts. Just after the new year, you'll probably hear everyone going live baiting, so it's spot X starts to fire. So that's when everyone runs out to spot X, puts live bait, go out there, catch slimies when you're out there. And then just put your slimies back down on like little jig outfits and stuff, and drift around the bait schools and spot X. That's like, well, early in the new year onwards. And they can be there for months, and you can catch bloody hundreds of marlin doing that. And it used to be a lot of fun. Nowadays, a lot of boats get out there, and unfortunately people get a bit aggro at times. So it sort of takes away the fun. It's a shame, but it happens. But yeah, troll for the first couple of months, and then start chasing. If you want to just chase marlin, go to your spot X and drop some liveys down and drift around the bait schools. And actually, I must admit, over the last 3 years I've been doing that, I've caught more and more cobia out there too. So not big cobia, 10, 15 kilo sort of fish, but a nice eating fish. So when you're chasing marlin, you hook a 10 or 15 kilo cobia and put it on deck. That's a nice little bonus for the day to take home to eat. Okay. And so dolphin fish too. I don't get a lot of dollies around spot X. I can't say I've caught one live baiting. I have seen them hooked up there on live bait. But generally, later in the season, if you troll around the outside, everyone live baiting, trolling skirts and stuff. And there are fads there too. You will pick up some nice dollies off those fads and troll on a few skirts around spot X later in the season. Wahoo. Okay. Once again, you'll get wahoo December onwards. I generally, if I'm going to go targeting wahoo, I'll go targeting wahoo around March. At the end of the season for like little blacks and mackerel when they're starting to wind down, I generally find that it's a good time to go chase some wahoo on 36s. Once again, if you want to wreck and throw away some skirts, use these. Wahoo do like them. Occasionally they don't hurt them, and other times they'll cut all 5 off and you won't even freaking know. So it's a gamble. A lot of guys put out big like hex heads and troll them fast. Some guys put out like do American style with 80s. Lead lines and troll it at 20 knots. And that's a lot of frigging around for 10 to 15 kilo wahoo. Me personally, I run out when I was chasing wahoo at 36s. I actually put out a pattern of hard bodies. I find trawling 6 knots with 2 deep divers in close and 2 medium divers in the riggers and 1 shallow diver, just covering all bases on the shotgun. Trawl hard bodies around the 36s and 50s around about March. Works very well for wahoo. It works very well for dolphin fish. Dolphin fish like the hard bodies too, and so do the yellowfin. If there's any yellowfin or any tuna about, they love the hard bodies too. And the best thing about hard bodies, marlin do hit them, but generally they don't stay connected. So if you're not chasing marlin, it's always fun to hook one and see him jump and carry on. But generally with the trebles, they'll throw them, which is not a bad thing. So you'll have a couple of minutes of fun, they'll throw the lure, yeah, all good. So hard bodies, don't forget about hard bodies out wide, trawling a pattern of hard bodies. They do work well for most pelagics. Okay, what else? I was going to talk about tuna too, but generally I don't do a lot of tuna fishing off the coast, but the tuna I do get is at the same time, you know, December to March sort of area, so pelagic time. I get a lot of yellowfin 36s and 50s, not a lot, but a few on skirts and on the hard bodies. So it doesn't matter. Run hard bodies, run skirts. If the tuna are there, they're going to eat them. They really are. And the other thing is too, when you're chasing, if you want to go out and chasing tuna, look for the birds, look for the schools. We all see schools, especially on the 50s outwards. Generally, you'll see a few yellowfin schools. The other way to go to is stick baits. Tuna respond really, really well to stick baits. So if you see a tuna school, get upwind of them, shut everything down, start drifting back with a decent casting outfit, like that's a Sustain 10,000 on a nice palms rod. It's like 30-pound braid, something like that. With that, casting a mile and just working it fast. Don't try and walk the dog or twitch or do anything like that. That tuna don't give a shit about that. Just wind it fast, get it skipping along the surface really quickly. Looks like a fleeing bait fish or a flying fish, and the yellowfin will smash it. Okay, so stick baits is always good fun, and I always have one on a rod in the corner of the boat, no matter what sort of trawling I'm doing. So if I see a school or something, and you're trolling lures while you're trolling, cast a stick bait at them. You just never know. Even when you go past a fad, throw a stick bait out. It doesn't hurt to slow down the boat a couple of knots just to keep the lures moving behind the boat slowly. Throw a couple of stick baits like a stick bait just as you're going past. Then once you pass, if you don't get any strikes, you know, bump up to 6.5, 7 knots and keep trolling. It's just a good all round. It's just a bit of a safety catch actually. It's a good thing to have on the boat. And even for Spanish, I didn't even think of that for Spanish. Sinking stick baits for Spanish mackerel out in the 24s. Like if you're trolling around, you can't get a bite, nothing much is happening. You see a bait school, let's say on the 24s right down deep. Say you're in 40 metres of water, you see a bait school at 30 metres of water. And then you see what we call penters on the ranch, this little squiggly lines stacked around the bait. That's mackerel sitting down deep. Work out your drift, cast a sinking stick bait out, let it sink right down. Just don't let it sink to the bottom because your lure gets snagged easily. Just a bit of judgment, and then wind it really fast back through the water, and that's a good way to entice a bite from the Spanish mackerel. Sinking stick baits. Even these casting slugs and stuff will work well, just a lot bigger versions, like double the size. Give them something worth chasing. I don't know, and that's about it, guys. Downriggers, you got a rough idea on the rods, reels. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to have a bit of a chat on pelagic season, what's coming up, what I sort of do when I'm out there over the next few months. And hopefully with Michael and the boat he's got now, or his new boat coming, we'll do a lot of trolling. Hopefully I can get a lot of footage. Show you guys how we do it and have some fun. And the other thing is too, these 3D printed skirts and stuff, like these heads, these are lures I make up myself. I know I ran them last year and they caught a shitload of fish last year. I wouldn't say a shitload. We done 3 trips and we got marlin, dolphin fish, wahoo with these skirts every trip. So every trip these performed and done. Got a lot of fish. I didn't think about selling them or anything last year. I tried for a little while, but I had problems with the website and the 3D printer. But this year I'm going to be running these things again, and if they perform like they did last year, swim well and caught a lot of fish, I will wake up your website again and I will sell them. So guys, just keep an eye out for that one. And for a skirted lure, they won't be expensive, but if they perform like last year, Jesus, they work well. They really did. So we'll see how these things go this year, and if they start catching a few fish and you guys are asking me questions about them, I'll build up the website and we'll make a few and sell them. Apart from that, yeah, I think that's it. There's a bit of a rough rundown on what I do, but we'll do a lot more talking and a lot more in depth over summer as I start fishing and chasing these species. Yeah, so we'll get a bit more into it as we start chasing them. But until then, I hope you enjoyed that little spiel, and I'll see you again next week sometime. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.